These works explore the ambiguity of distance and reveal the connectivity of all water, every molecule, past, present and future, connected in every environment. Water, is it salt or fresh? Coastal, urban, outback, solid, liquid, gas, drought or flood? Water itself or the path water has carved through the landscape? Is it an aerial or a detail? You decide.
Looks like a rather still beach.
Mm-hmm.
There's not much foam from the waves.
A river opening out to the ocean, somewhere like Port Adelaide where they've got the marshlands there and the river mouth coming out open into the ocean, so salt water. And yeah, it looks like it's tides retreating and the muddy riverbanks are showing.
Calm, open space, going on and on forever, beautiful horizon. Just a lovely, soulful feel.
Maybe be in the outback after a big rain sort of thing. The red dirt is still red and the lower parts are full of fresh water. And the green is just starting to sprout. It's just had some rain.
That's also inland, but close to a coast.
Aerial shot of a maybe freshwater lake that's starting to dry up in places. And the green looks like a bit of just a bit of shrubbery around the edges.
A river turning into ice. It looks like something from Frozen.
Looking more at like the gasification side of it, it's just focusing rather than on the terrain, on the air.
It reminds me of a whole bunch of icebergs that are like separated a bit, broken and melted a bit.
This is coastal here. There's like the rocks breaking in. You've got the low tide maybe coming through. Maybe like a bit of a shelly beach, so there's a lot going on. A hill or a mountain at the back.
The blue part looks like the ocean or something like mountains in the background, and then all of the white part looks like where all of the waves have been and crashed into that place, and then the yellow part looks like sand.
Looks quite rocky, maybe with some like paths of water rather than actual water.
Looks like an aerial shot of the outback, the desert sort of thing, and you can see the ancient water lines.
The algae foam settling in one of the rocks.
Reminds me of sort of out in Cooper Pedy, you get the really, really dark reds and the really dark blacks and the light and contrasting light. It's sort of almost looks like opal itself, but it's just the landscape of the different colours and the mountains and stuff like that, and where water used to be probably millions of years ago.
In the middle it looks like the land is dry, so there's a big crack. And then it looks like when the water's coming in from a dry place.
That one is like in the city after it's been raining.
I think it's an aerial view of some farmlands and things.
I thought these were like all water related paintings, and this is showing the lack of water in these areas.
To me, that's like standing on a mountain and looking at the valley below, just disappearing into the background, little blue ribbons on the side, could be watercourses.
This one kind of looks like the ocean, but like it's got a big sand dune over the top of it.
I think it looks more like a reflection from the sun.
Looks like a lovely ocean shot with the sun setting on it, rough seas.
And it looks like some water, and it kind of looks like a dragon. And around it, it kind of looks like a desert. Like dried up water and then there's a desert.
It'd be like a sandbank in the Murray sort of thing that's being exposed by water level decreasing, and it's got the brown rich sand and the dark brown muds all around it.
Maybe more dry terrain that has just seen a bit of water come through it.
It looks like a vertical rock to me, with a channel having been dug in it, forcing its way between the rocks.
It kind of looks like there's rocks there, and then there's water that change colour like here.
It sort of looks like a coastal rock formation, like just what you find along the beach that's broken up and cracked and gets full of water, but it's just no water in it at the moment. It's just the rocks that are left after.
The next one looks a bit like bits of tree, like a dry riverbed.
Reminds me of when rain first starts to fall in a very drought-stricken place. The white, brown, dry dirt turns to a really rusty colour, and the first streaks of it sort of thing, or the river breaking through and it's first sort of trickles down and the sand changes colour or the dirt changes colour to a rust rather than a white.
You're zoomed out and an aerial kind of starts again, and that's like a pathway of the water that you're following through, and maybe closer to some farming work because a lot of the native vegetation has been cleared, so you're looking more like there's a few lines there. It looks like they could be like fences from paddocks or something.
This one looks like another sort of ancient desert sort of landscape that once had water running through it at some stage, and now it's dried out and it's exposed the rock bed underneath where the water has cut through the landscape.
And it almost looks like folded fabric. And light golds, soft blue greys, cream, with what looks like multiple folds. But this could be a close-up of some kind of residual rock pool.
Yeah. So this one reminds me of like a wave crashing up against a rock or something, like coming through and folding over again on itself, and you've got like the mist coming up from at the back with the white, and it's curving along once it hits the rock on the right hand side.
Aerial view maybe of some form of water that's got the sun on it or something to reflect that colour.
Maybe a slightly orange storm cloud.
There was a flood up north sort of thing, and it was coming down sort of through the Simpson Desert, and it's like an aerial shot of the floodplain coming down, and it's all converging into one point and going into the river system.
Feel like you're going on a bushwalk and you are stepping over kind of like a crescent or something, and it goes quite deep into the earth.
This looks a bit like Neptune.
Isn't Neptune blue?
Oh, well, it looks like a planet.
An autumn felt in the morning, where you've got the muted colours, but they're very much those sort of colours. They're the golden colours.
You're playing with reflections again. I feel that it's late afternoon to evening, and there has been a change in cloud cover.
This one looks like it would be in spring when the snow's melting away and the earth is coming up from underneath it. So it's the sort of start of spring, the new life's coming up through, the snow is melting away.
Not too sure about this one, but I love it. Just get really drawn into it. It kind of reminds me, there's a lot of reflection going on. I think it's probably coastal based. It'd be in the evening before sunset, so it's just a cloudy day and you've got a lot of cloud coming through at the top, which then is refracted here. And then you're kind of like sitting at the base of like maybe a little pool, rock pool here, looking out, and you've got more coast coming out this way. And then if you were to look direct into that little white path that would take you straight out to sea.
Doesn't seem to be a lot of watery looking things, so it's either very dirty water.
That kind of looks like trees and sand.
Like maybe a murray bed that is dried up full of water, and you still got the coastline, like the trees above it, and then the algae that's left behind after it's retreated and dried out, all the plant life on the bottom of the riverbanks.
Maybe like another dried up riverbed with some green stuff growing in from the sides.
A lake or a river with algae floating down the stream, just all going in the same direction, fronds going down, beautiful colours, just full of life. Seagrass.
Marshy, reminds me of like mangroves sort of thing, from sort of an aerial view of the saltwater mangroves.
Maybe there's waves crashing around all the white bits, and then the rest is water and sand, maybe.
That kind of looks
Good
like
idea.
a ballerina with a pointy nose.
Well, my mind wants to either make it flat with things coming into it, or it wants to make it three-dimensional and bring it up into a peak.
Like a waterfall or something. Like there's a big splash of water coming through. So maybe you're standing under it. I see the solidification of water through a mountain, rocky terrain area. And so this is kind of the peak, and we're going down, and you can see that you have the river coming here and it's pooling at the bottom of the mountain.
That could be absolutely anything. It looks so organic but it looks almost like rock formations.
Another close up of the algae just before low tide.
Little bits of slime left, bits of rocky pool, the blue perhaps reflecting the sky.
Sort of looks beachy and like a coast, because you've got like the yellowy sand, and then it's getting slightly more green and blue as you go out to the water.
Reminds me of the time I was down at down over on the Eyre Peninsula in the Port Lincoln National Park. Just the really bright blues and greens in the water, and obviously in the coastline with the sand marshes and stuff.
It looks like dried up land.
Yeah.
But maybe a little bit damp, or water has is coming in, or has just dried up.
Like rolling hills and an aerial shot again. And maybe like the mist, so you're going for the gassy kind of look. You've got the clouds coming over, and so that these are the roads, and you've got like little smatterings of the trees lining through it, and the rest of it's just hilly terrain. McLaren Vale or something, you get the dry middle of summer look, but then you've got the cloud and mist coming through it as well, so it could be early morning or something like that.
Well, it looks like a dam.
Aerial shot of a really mossy, like algae filled lake or river going through.
Like an aerial type shot. We've got some trees and some grasslands maybe, and like a park in the middle.